Welcome to the LDHR podcast, where ministry leaders grow together. In this special mini-series, Renewed Leadership, Reflect, Renew, Reconnect, we're creating space for leaders in leadership development and human resources, as well as anyone in ministry to pause, reflect, and realign with what matters most. Over these few episodes, you'll hear from coaches, spiritual directors, and ministry leaders who will help you notice where God has been at work in your year, explore rhythms that sustain your energy and focus, and reconnect with your purpose as a leader. Whether you're wrapping up the year or stepping into the new one, these conversations are designed to help you lead with clarity, intention, and renewed perspective so you can show up fully for yourself, your team, and your organization. We're so glad you're here. Hi, Cristina. Welcome to the LDHR podcast. I am so glad that you are able to join me today. As we begin, can you share a little bit about your current role and where you are serving?
Hi, Beth. It's so good to be here with you, and thank you for the invitation. I'm Cristina Dragomir. I'm based in Romania. I've been serving with Crew for 25 years. My husband and I have two daughters, teenagers now, so we are in that stage. Yeah, I'm part of Mission Hub. We are creating resources for student ministry, but not only, different resources, especially for reaching out the Generation Z.
That's fantastic. And Cristina, you also do some coaching as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's actually my passion. Yes, I'm a professional certified coach. I have the privilege to coordinate the FOCOS team. And our mission is to resource our staff from everywhere with coaching skills they can use in their ministry context in just day-to-day relationships.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. So it is the new year, and we are continuing with our mini series called Reflect, Renew, Reconnect. And as this new year is beginning, we often start thinking about the goals we want to accomplish for the year. But today, we want to talk specifically about designing our rhythms and not just our goals, focusing less on what we want to achieve and more on how we want to live and lead, creating sustainable habits. So, Cristina, many of us start the year thinking about goals. What do you think shifts when we instead focus on rhythms, those patterns and practices that sustain us?
Yeah, your question made me think of different stages in my journey as a full-time staff for years. So I think it's so important to follow the God-designed rhythms. As we can see, this has been established. It's everywhere in the Bible. For me personally, it has been difficult to establish rhythms as I love to work. And I love to be involved in different activities. I easily see opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times I'm not estimating them in a realistic way.
Yeah.
At the same time, I see that actually spiritual and emotional health are sustained through intentional rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only just being active, keeping ourselves busy with valuable things, but it's just adjusting our lifestyle with healthy rhythms. And for leaders, this is difficult so many times because they are visionaries. They can see the opportunities and they love to go for those. So I think looking for the healthy rhythms that fit our unique design, that fit our teams, and really connect us with the bigger purpose. That really can totally shift the way we lead and serve.
Yeah. I like what you said there. It connects us with that bigger perspective. Instead of being singularly focused, it allows us to see the big picture. So, from your perspective as a coach, why do you think so many leaders struggle to maintain the goals they set?
Well, I think just from different conversations with many leaders from our ministry, but also from outside. I often have opportunities to coach leaders from different teams and different areas. I think there are some common things about leaders. As I mentioned, they are visionary, they love to see things accomplished. And one thing that probably is really tempting is to respond to a lot of urgent things. So when those rhythms are not well established in our lives, it's so easy to react to different opportunities or different, the things, unexpected demands. While when we take time or maybe have set some kind of accountability for ourselves, it's much easier to process, to reflect on where I am. How much am I going aligned with what I planned? Actually, how much fruit, not only results, do I see in my life or in my team? Because so many times these things can be seen as equal, but they actually are not. So I would mention the pressure, the urgent, that is really difficult to handle so many times. Also, the lack of accountability systems. We see what we need to do, and yet so many times we don't do that. And it's because we need some kind of routines of excellence, some kind of a system in place that keeps us accountable, that keeps us walking in light, have other people who have permission to ask some maybe uncomfortable questions. I have leaders who ask me specifically this. You can feel free to ask me those uncomfortable questions. And also, I think, is this feeling that we are alone. We have to carry the mission further by ourselves. Maybe it sounds not so spiritual, but actually, we may perceive it emotionally. I see this to many leaders. They feel alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have to. If I don't do it, maybe nobody will do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Those are really great insights into, why leaders might fail to maintain those goals of that lack of accountability, the urgent. Man, the urgent pulls on all of us. But I like what you said is establishing those rhythms almost creates like an anchor to not have to be pulled so intensely by the urgent. So in your coaching, Christina, how do you help clients uncover rhythms that align with their values and natural energy and not just their calendars?
So many times, some of the leaders that I talk with, they say, this is the space where I hear my thoughts. And they feel like they get in touch with themselves, with God, and with what really, really matters. So this kind of connection or realignment with what's really important for them, it happens in a relationship. And it's a relationship where they feel safe, they feel listened to, but also challenged. Both are important. Challenged to not only hear their thoughts, but take some action according to what they want to adjust, maybe. I would say a great gift for us as leaders is this kind of connection with someone we trust. It could be maybe a mentor or a peer or a coach. We need those people in our lives. So this is what I see that helps leaders to uncover rhythms. Maybe for me in my coaching, I can be a mirror for them. And they become aware, this kind of things have been life-giving for me. And these were draining. Why is that? Because actually, I think they're good. And I had to do them. But they could become more self-aware. Where is their passion? So I encourage them to take some actions and continue their practice. Those simple questions throughout the week. Maybe what made me feel like aligned with God's calling for me? What are those life-giving activities or from everything that I've done this week, what felt life-giving? And what is one step, one change that I want to make for next week?
Yeah, that's really great. I like that picture that you created, that you are a mirror for your clients. And so thinking that, yeah, leaders need that mirror of someone to help them see what is important, what's valuable, because sometimes we do just act. So I really love that picture that you gave us. So, what's one rhythm you've seen make a transformative difference for a leader, whether it's in reflection or decision making or balance?
Yeah, well, one leader that I've worked with for more than 3 years, she didn't have the space to, to withdraw from time to time and just breathe deep and think about, okay, what's next? And she was sharing that, especially in some conflictual situations, she needed to take that space. Eventually found a place in the ground level of the building, and she said that was my space of grounding myself and recentering myself, where I am and what is my reaction, what would be my response in this situation. So I would say one healthy rhythm is just to find what fits you best. For example, for someone more introverted with a preference for introversion, maybe they would like to find a place where they can reconnect with God, with themselves, even for 1 minute or 2 minutes. Or for someone who just to change the place, like I go closer to a window, just changing the position in space, even that can be like taking a walk, even in my office, but just changing the place can help us reconnect with ourselves. And I like very much what Peter Scazzero shares in his book, Emotionally Healthy Leader. There are several healthy practices. Slowing down, just knowing what helps me to slow down when I feel like I have to answer all my emails and just check off everything on my list for today. That can be a good indicator that I'm pushing hard. I get exhausted by the end of the day. I feel like I lose joy. For myself, a good indicator is, where is my joy? I missed something. I have to just take a few moments to reflect. Sometimes a good discussion helps me. Even a 10 minutes discussion can be very clarifying what's there. And I remember for so many busy leaders who actually maybe don't have even the time or the space to take a break, what they do is to use their agenda in the best way for disciplining themselves. For some of them, they set regular conversations with someone where they feel accountable, but also challenged toward the next steps. Or just being part of a group and studying a book together, agreeing on some kind of accountability with each other. That's also so valuable and needed for walking in the light.
Thank you, Christina. There is so much in there that you shared of just really great wisdom and practical steps that leaders can take to really establish some of those healthy rhythms. I think one of the ones that stood out to me was you said just taking the space, maybe literally in the room, of moving to a different part of the room or just readjusting and kind of resetting your rhythms for what's going on. Or for busy leaders who have their schedule packed, is to schedule that time with a coach or with a mentor and say, this is part of my time to reset, to get those rhythms. And you shared a lot of other really great and helpful practical steps in there. Thank you. So, how can leaders use coaching tools like powerful questions or accountability practices to design rhythms that actually last?
Yeah, what I see is that a coaching conversation many times just brings into light something that they've already knew about themselves, but it was like hidden. They knew it as an information. only at the cognitive level, but in those conversations, simple conversations that we can have with teammates, with our maybe mentors, or with someone different, is the space where we can actually help people get deeper beyond what they know it's right, down to their deep beliefs. And that's actually what we need. We need to reconnect with, especially for us as believers. We know at the cognitive level what God says to do, and yet we are aware that sometimes there is disconnection. When we are tested in a conflict situation, maybe in a difficult conversation, we see that something different comes out. And it's, instead of maybe hiding that or rationalizing, justifying in any way, we can find the space, the relationship where we trust, and we can ask questions. Either ask somebody, be a coach for them, or be asked. I have both relationships in my life, and I treasure that. So actually, there is something about how God created us in this learning, in this kind of relational connection. And we can maybe journal about those things. We can just remind ourselves about this truth, but we need some kind of connection with somebody else where real transformation, God uses that connection to work, to work deeper in our beliefs. Just maybe bring into the light some values that we hold, some assumptions, and transform us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that wonderful reminder that we need each other. Like, yes, there is this aspect of processing on our own and thinking through things, but being able to ask other people those questions and allowing ourselves to be asked and to answer them does allow for that deeper growth, that self awareness to really happen. So, Cristina, as we wrap up our time today, would you be willing to walk our listeners through some questions that they can begin to reflect upon to help them design some of these healthy rhythms for this year?
Yeah, I'm with all of you here because this practice is something that I also need and do. And we can do it either by inviting someone to ask us some questions or, just using them to reflect. For me, is at the beginning of the year is, what do you call me, Jesus, in this new year? What are those opportunities that you give me passion for? What do you want to bring into completion in me throughout this year? Those are only few questions, but also looking at what new relationships do I want to invest in? Who are the few people maybe I need in my life? Also looking for those people maybe, or those relationships that are feel more challenging. God uses also those. So these are only few questions that we can use for listening. And after each question, we can take few moments just to be quiet and practice slowing down, pausing, listening to what God, every time God uses something to either his word or, bringing something to our mind, that he will show us the next steps. Taking the space is really, really healthy and needed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those beautiful, reflective questions for all of us to ask. And I'm sensing I need to ask those for myself as well. So thank you so much, Cristina, for your wisdom and your insight into this topic of setting up healthy rhythms for the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Beth, for having me.
What a refreshing way to think about establishing healthy rhythms rather than just setting goals for our year. I hope you were inspired by Cristina to think through how you can set up some great, sustaining rhythms for this year. If you like this episode, Please share it with a friend, as it really helps us get the word out. Join us next week as we hear from Courtney Street about how we can renew our leadership purpose through reflection practices. See you next week.